Alright, next up we are going to be creating a virtual machine module for the session host. And so first things first, we're going to name the session host, and then we're going to call virtual machines. Actually, it's network interface card. So the reason we do this is that we are actually creating the network interface card because it's a separate resource that the virtual machine is going to have. So if we take a look at Bicep virtual machine, you can either create the public IP, network security group, virtual network, a NIC, and then the VM. So you see that we need the virtual network first, and then the NIC, and then depending on that, we're going to input that NIC, which is defined as a NIC here, and then input that NIC into the ID here. We can either do this using a module or do it in the virtual machine module itself. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and do that here. We can actually go ahead and use this module for ourselves. And we really don't need the storage account. Probably don't need the public IP, the network resource group, or the virtual network, because we can do that outside the VM deployment. Everything looks fine here. Don't really need this, it's not mandatory. Accidentally erased. Can erase this. And we don't need the VM extension, we'll figure that out later. And we can do something like AZ-admin can do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, ABC, ABC. Don't need this. We're not using public IPs, so we can erase these. And we can just use Data Center Azure Edition, that's fine. We need something small like this. And we can just get rid of this here. Simple VM, that's fine. My VM NIC, that's fine. Var address prefix. We're not creating the resource group or the network interface card, sorry, the virtual network here, so we can erase these. And we remove the extension list, the extension resource, so we can erase these. And now all we have is the VM and the NIC. And now we can do this. We have the NIC or the virtual network, and now let's do virtual machine. Erase this. We don't need all this. Okay, now we got all the parameters. Do some string interpolation. Virtual machine VM name. Let's go. Let's do it depends on, because we're just using a parameter, we're not using an ID here. Just RG. And we also need virtual network here because we're going to be putting it to the NIC. So location, and then it's location. Admin username is admin username. Admin password is admin password. We're gonna eventually replace this plain text password with the key vault, and I'll show you on the next one. And we can do, let's do 29 data center. And then security type, it allows us to do standard. VM name, let's do something like VM AVD, and then PRD, and then let's give it an integer name. VM name, VM size, let's pick something small here. And we should actually make these parameters. Let's do something like VM name, NIC, and then just in case this needs more than one NIC, we're going to do 01. And then param is going to be subnet name, string, and then param virtual network name, are going to be required properties for this to work. Alright, here's where it gets tricky. So we actually need to pick this right here. So what we do is, since it's the first item in the array, we are going to do this. 0, and then we're going to select the name. We want this item with this property, so we need subnet 1. And now we have it, subnet 1, index of 0, name. And we have that right there. Okay, let's try it out. Okay, it looks like we ran into some issues here with my SKU, so I have to pick one of these. So I went ahead and changed up the VM size from B4MS, and now we gotta do standard B4MS, and that should fix it. Call it VM Azure Labs West US none. Let's actually do something like dnet avd prod West US instead of using that placeholder. Okay, so we're gonna go back to deployments and check out what we're getting over here. See what we got in the resource groups. Don't need this at the moment. Now let's hold on to it. Looks like something's going through. And I'm gonna have to change this because I'm giving it a nick. Okay. With this value isn't gonna work. Looks like the VM was created with that SKU. It's not giving us problems. And now we have this weird nickname, which is fine. We can go ahead and redeploy here in a moment. You see that it's getting this IPv4 address, and it is in this subnet, which everything seems to be working just fine. Now the VM is going to take a little bit to deploy, so while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and pause it. Alright, so we have the VM. It's deployed in the right spot. And now we're actually going to go ahead and delete the whole thing because I made some mistakes and don't want to incur some costs here. That's the beauty of infrastructure as code, is that you are able to redeploy with the values that you have, and change things around so that it'll fit exactly how you need it to be. In this example, made a change here, so we can just redeploy this, and then our name for the VNet is wrong. So rather than change everything manually, we can blow this thing away and then redeploy. It looks like this was deleted, so we are going to go back, just double check if that's done. Rather than doing that, we're just going to go ahead and change up some parameters. So let's go to our main.bicep. Let's use westus 3. And then let's change up the resource group to 3 and 3. And now let's go ahead and redeploy this. And I'm being lazy here. I did set this to standard. And let's use the parameter instead of hard coding it there. Okay, let's try this again. Azure Labs again, westus 3, and no parameter file just yet. Let's go to the subscription. While this is redeploying, I'm going to go ahead and pause this. It accepted the properties here, and if we see the inputs, we're going to see that it is this NIC, this virtual machine, virtual network name, and this subnet. So everything should be grabbing what it needs to, and it's using this OS version. And since we used a secure, it's not going to put this in plain text, just to save you from yourself. And now we got the new VM. With just a few parameter changes, we were able to redeploy the entire virtual network and virtual machine in just a few minutes. The next one, I'm going to show you guys how to set budget alerts and set up auto shutdown on a VM to reduce costs. See you next time.